If I don't record, I can't put it on YouTube. Okay. So yes, in astrology, we're dealing with equal opposites with every sign. Aries has the opposite of Libra, Taurus has the opposite of Scorpio, et cetera, et cetera. So with the full moon in Leo, we know that the moon is in Leo, and that automatically means the sun is in Aquarius, which is the opposite of Leo. And I want to talk about these two archetypes right now. On Facebook, I shared this, but I can't share it on Instagram. So let me just read this quote that I feel really explains the energy of this specific full moon very well. And it's by Dr. Martin Shaw. He teaches mythology in the UK, I believe. I did a little research. It's got a great point of view. And I actually think I'm going to have to order his book after reading some of his writings. But this quote says, I have not a clue whether we humans will live for another 100 or 10,000 years. We can't be sure. What matters to me is the fact we have fallen out of a very ancient love affair, a kind of dream tangle with the earth itself. If through our own mess that relationship is about to end, then we need to scatter as much beauty around us as we possibly can, to send a voice to attempt some kind of repair. I think of it as a kind of courting, a very old idea. This isn't about statistical hysteria, it's about personal style. Any other response is just not cool. That quote is so amazing. And the reason I read that is because that's what Leo is about. Leo is about your personal style, it's about who you are. It is your life energy. Leo is the inner child, it's creativity, it is children in general, it is joy, it's the heart chakra. That's what Leo is. It's about being in your own personal style, man. I'm going to try not to get too dude on y'all. And it's a perfect time to think about this stuff. Why? Because we have been pulled, yanked out of ourselves by everything that's been going on in the world. And we've been yanked into Aquarius, which is where we have so many planets right now. And Aquarius is the opposite of Leo. So if Leo is your personal style, your heart, your purpose, your inner child, Aquarius is detached from that. It is the community, it is organizations, it's the future, it's our goals, it's all of that mind energy. And Aquarius is, I believe, the higher mind, right? So it's almost like this uber intellectual social pariah kind of energy where you just take yourself out of it and detached. Aquarius is a cold sign. It happens at the coldest time of the year. So we think about that being what is the overarching energy right now. The other part of that is it's not just the sun in Aquarius, it's Saturn, which is rules and structure. It's Jupiter, which is personal truth, and it's our knowledge. It's what we know. And then we've got Mercury there that's about to go retrograde. Yay. On the 30th, right after. What else do we have there? There's other things, I do believe. I think those are the biggest. It's probably some asteroids and stuff. And soon enough, Venus will be there. So lots of this detached energy. And don't get me wrong, I'm not pigeonholing Aquarius. It's not just detached, but it is the overarching view of things. So it kind of takes you out of that heart space and into a head space, into trying to plan for the future and hustling. And honestly, I feel like that's been something that started to come through is new possibilities. And then we get wrapped up into what are we going to do with that? And what about the future? And how are we going to restructure our lives? And this is a great time to do that. It's a great time to restructure and change and shift. That's what Aquarius is. But this full moon tomorrow is saying, it's really shining a light on your uniqueness, on what you want to be putting into this world. What is your creative spot in it? You know, are you following your heart? Are you getting wrapped up in some goals that maybe aren't aligned with what your heart truly wants? Are you tending to that inner child space, fun, joy, letting the playfulness really be present? And it's hard to be playful. How can we be playful when things seem... I called this year, whenever I was doing videos last year, I was calling this year the year of liquid reality, because that's what it feels like. It's almost so detached and so airy that it's like, I don't know what's going on here. What should I be doing? Where should I be going? Maybe a little squirrely, like, look over there, because we've got the nodes in Gemini. So Leo is like, hey, where are you? Are you having fun? What are you doing? What does your inner child want? Are you playing? Are you coming at this from a heart space, from joy, from love, from compassion? And then there is the difficult, challenging is a better word, square to Mars and Uranus and Taurus right now. It's called a T-square. And if you look at the chart, if you were to view it, you would see the moon here. Actually, I've got a circle behind me. Oh, Instagram can't see it. Oh, well. No, Instagram can't see it. We're going to say sun up here, moon down here. That's a straight line. Mars is over here. It's a square. And so is Uranus. That in astrology is tension. It's creative challenges, creative tension. It can be difficult, but if you're aware of it, then you're aware of what is adjusting around what. So we've got our heart space, our energy, our purpose, our enjoyment, our inner child, our creativity. Leo also rules romance. To me, Leo rules the person on stage. It's the bright lights, right? It's the lion. And then Aquarius is this sort of detached, humanitarian. That's a word that's used a lot for Aquarius, but it's more like leadership, control. This is how things need to go. And I've done all the research, and that's Aquarius energy. It's not all of Aquarius energy. It's also innovation and new technology. But then Mars in Taurus. Taurus is my resources, what I love, what makes me comfortable. And Mars and Uranus there, like, don't forget about what makes you comfortable, what you value, what you need to live. And we all need the earth to live, which is why I chose that quote, because I think that we've been pulled so far out of our connection to not just the earth, but like ourselves on the earth, like almost like we're just floating in internet space now. Aquarius rules the internet, it rules technology. Everyone's got an avatar on each platform. So we're just kind of pulled out of this, like your heart space, your personal experience, your story on this earth. What are you here to shine for? What are you creating? What beauty are you spreading around? This is the same place that the solar eclipse happened in 2017. FYI. So, it helps to kind of think about the themes that were going on then. That's the energy this full moon holds. And it's so necessary. It's so necessary to remind ourselves of our heart. And I think that is setting the stage for this Mercury retrograde. So you think about what part of you likes to have fun, right? What part of you, what you enjoy, what you're creating, what you're putting out in the world, what love you're spreading, what compassion you are full of. Are you getting the attention you need? Are you showing off your creativity? Are you standing up in the Aquarius group and saying, this is what I have to offer, and putting it forth? And then Mars and Uranus and Taurus is like, don't forget about your resources. Don't forget about what you value. And all of these things are going to shift around each other. So, you have this light being shown onto the Leo, onto your heart, onto What do I really want? And that might adjust your values. It might adjust what you do with your money. It might adjust how you interact with your resources, including the earth, by the way. I'm going to keep screaming earth, 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 because that's just, it's on my heart. It's on my little Leo space here. What we're doing with our earth, how we actually interact with it. You got your hands in the dirt ever? You go walking barefoot. I love grounding. I love that. But my point being, when you really start to look at your true desires, your purpose for living, what your story is, you start to see, okay, am I in the right group, Aquarius? Am I going toward the goals that truly align with my heart? And are my resources in the place they need to be to make all this happen, to fulfill my desires? My creative potential. That's a word I will use for this. Being acutely aware of either you are fulfilling your creative potential or you're not. Now, I never like to speak from a place of not realizing that people are going through some difficult times, because they are. It's like, fulfill your creative potential, but how can you do that if you're like, I'm not making enough money to live, right? That's a part of this energy. How can you do that? How can we, Aquarius as a community, support people in their creative potential? We have to change our values. We have to shift all that. I do want to point out one more piece of the puzzle, and that is Scorpio. Leo was Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius are all fixed signs. So if you have anything in any of these signs, any planets, including the sun, so if you know you're a Scorpio, hi, I am. If you know you have Mercury in Scorpio, if you know you have Venus in Scorpio, this applies to Scorpio energy as well, because whenever there's a lot of stuff going on in a certain modality, which is fixed modality, then you have all of them being affected. So this is going to count for the Pluto and Scorpio generation, which is 83 through 90 something. All Scorpio suns, anyone who has Scorpio. And Scorpio is about how we share our resources with people, what our boundaries are, what we'll take and what we'll give, our investments. So there is that coming through as well. In fact, that's the missing point of this T-square for the full moon is Scorpio. So that's just one part of this full moon. We're going to get into more. There is more. There's always more. In fact, there is a ton of astrology right now, and it's almost difficult to talk about all of it. So let's talk about Venus conjunct Pluto, shall we? That happens at the same exact time. In fact, it happens the morning of the full moon tomorrow. Venus is what we love and how we find beauty, how we receive. Venus is our affectations. It's how we find balance. It is Venusian. It is the female energy, the feminine energy, I should say, which we all embody both feminine and masculine. All of us have both in us. Masculine is what penetrates and goes out in its passion, and that's Mars, right? Venus is what we receive, what we find beautiful, what we want, what we value. Venus is in Capricorn, reminding us of all the stuff we went through last year. And it will meet up with Pluto, and Pluto is transformation. And so there is a piece of this puzzle that points to a realization of what we want, of what we truly value, of where we truly belong. It's a rebirth. Venus is the last planet to transit past Pluto for a while after last year. So it's like this kind of stamp, like, what is it that you truly want for your life? What are your rules? What are your boundaries? How are you structuring this? As soon as that happens, Mercury begins to station to go retrograde. And this is when we redefine our goals because, I forgot. I forgot that I really enjoyed painting and I haven't factored that into my life, and I've made myself busy again. And now I don't have any time to pursue my creative endeavors. I don't have time for fun. These are the realizations we can have. I will say that when Mercury stations retrograde on, what's really stationing means slowing down and stopping. That's what stationing means. So it's actually beginning to station. Let's see, it's at 26 degrees during this full moon, which is exactly the degree that it turns retrograde. So we'll say it's already at the retrograde degree. What is a Mercury retrograde? I tend to get on a soapbox about this. It doesn't mean things are going to go awry. It doesn't mean things are going to be, oh my gosh, it's Mercury retrograde. Something's going to break. Mercury is how we think and communicate. We're thinking about our goals. We're thinking about the future. We're thinking about the people around us. Do they even see us? Are they supporting us? Do we like them? Do they fit in with my future? Is this my tribe? That full moon in Leo reminds us who we are. Maybe we are not in our truth and in our alignment in the groups that we're in the organizations, inside of our own goals. Maybe we're not in alignment with our hearts, with that inner child. It's like, yeah, I want to be rich and I got to work and I got to do this and I got to hustle and I got to hustle. And then the inner child in you screaming, I just want to play. Everyone has that little voice inside of us. So the Mercury retrograde is like, stop, 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 stop. Let's stop thinking about all of this. Stop thinking about the politics. Tune out from that. Tune out right now. I wouldn't have recommended that before the election because we had an election coming up. But right this moment, I mean, I guess beyond putting pressure on your senators on votes coming up or something like that. But in terms of being embroiled in all of that right now, we have forgotten to play. It's gotten so serious. And it is serious, but we have to take a break. We have to spread beauty. We have to be creative. Children, we need to pay attention to them. Hold on, babe. I gotta watch this press conference. I'm not saying that's what we're doing, but we can even take a moment and realize during this full moon, am I nurturing the children in my life? Have I asked them how they're doing? Including your own inner child specifically. So when the Mercury retrograde starts, it's like a rethinking. Are we in our alignment? Are we doing what we truly want to be doing? Are our goals for the future in alignment with our hearts, with our purpose, with our values? Do we have the resources? What are my values? Maybe I should really think about time as a resource. Maybe I should reframe what I think I value. I think a lot of emphasis has been placed since last year on material objects as well, and what those really mean. Capricorn and Taurus really rule material objects. They rule the real world. So I don't know about y'all, but last Christmas was kind of like, huh? What? I mean, if there ever was a time, or it was just put in my face, that I felt like humanity was under some spell for quite a long time, saying buy bullshit and give things that don't matter. And now we've had this year of difficulty, of challenges, of looking death in the face and looking fascism in the face and looking, civil unrest, social unrest in the face, and justice and what is right and what is wrong, and all of these very, very serious things. And then you look at Christmas and you go, I don't care about a new t-shirt. Okay. Like, where am I going to wear it? Like, that's kind of taken a front stage. What really matters? Are you giving to other people what really truly matters? Maybe it's a story. Maybe it's an ear to listen. Or is it a candle from Target? No offense to the people I bought candles this year for Christmas. That is part of the Venus and Pluto during this full moon. So when Mercury goes retrograde, it kind of has us taking a look at all of this, all of this new energy incoming. Innovate. We have to innovate the way we think and reorient ourselves to a new world. That's still being built, by the way. We don't even know what the world's going to look like in the summer. So take a moment to let go and play. You can't tool things right now. You cannot fix or do. You can put your hands in the dirt, cook your family a meal. You can physically help tornado victims in your town. You can donate. You can do something with your resources that spreads beauty, that spreads love, that spreads compassion. And if you don't have the resources to do that, make sure you're loving yourself through this, and make sure the people in your life are supporting you through this. That's the Aquarius. We're supposed to be helping one another out. There are a lot of people that need help right now. I saw a thread on Twitter the other day. I'm not on Facebook anymore. They deleted my profile, so I'm on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter to get all the hot takes on astrology. But I saw a thread on Twitter the other day that someone was like, hey, why are you giving your money to large organizations that say they help people? And why aren't you human to human helping? And you know what? A bunch of strangers dropped their Cash Apps and their Venmos and said, hey, I'm having trouble with this. Hey, I'm having trouble with that. I can't make ends meet. And I get emotional every time. But people were sending money to strangers. And that's what should be happening. If you need money, say it. If you need food, say it. If you have it to help, do it. This is the time. This is the time for that. Now that we've redone the rules, now that we see what the establishment, what spells they've put on us, because they've put spells on the whole of humanity. Buy the objects that don't matter. And by no means am I saying that you're not allowed to have affections for material objects. That's not what I'm saying. I'm asking you to reevaluate exactly how you've been viewing that. Maybe you do realize, you're like, hey, I really like those figurines and they do matter. But maybe you're like, but I don't really need any more t-shirts. These are all things that this full moon can bring up. So if you haven't had any time in your life, or if you've been so stressed and so challenged that you've forgotten what it's like to laugh and have joy, I'm not doing this toxic positivity thing. I'm telling you that now is the time to try to open your heart. I read an informative thing on coping from the psychologist, and she was talking about how they've done a lot of studies on people that can't get out of situations and how they cope. And for instance, astronauts on the ISS, they are locked into a situation. And there are many, many situations that they've studied that are like this. And they did find that laughter, that reframing a situation to a more positive light can actually help. And so that, I'm just saying it's a tool. It's not something by any means to ignore grief or to ignore stress or to ignore the very real negative emotions we're feeling. It's saying make space for the positive. To do something. You know, I've always heard that if you're mad, leave a room and see if you're still mad. That's a lot of what this Leo full moon is like. Look at your heart. Look at the joy that you bring in. Look at what you're doing with your inner child. And the inner child is such an interesting topic. I think people almost hear it and go, and then they just kind of put their fingers in their ears when they hear the phrase inner child. We all have one. We all have an inner child. And if you're the ones putting your fingers in your ears around that phrase, then maybe that's what you're doing, is squishing that inner child. What did you enjoy when you were a kid? What did you dream you were going to be? And not just that, the creativity that we bring to this world is exactly what evolves this world. I was reading some Buckminster Fuller quotes recently. Let's see if I can pull one up. He said, let's see here. It was a child thing. Hold on, I'll tell you. I know exactly where it is. All right, I found it. The youth of humanity all around our planet are intuitively revolting from all sovereignties and political ideologies. The youth of Earth are moving intuitively toward an utterly classless, raceless, omni-cooperative, omni-world humanity. Children freed of the ignorantly founded educational traditions and exposed only to their spontaneously summoned, computer-stored and distributed outflow of reliable opinion purged. Basically, it's the inner child that leads humanity to this utopia. It's the love, the creativity. That's what fixes things. Every child has an enormous drive to demonstrate competence. If humans are not required to earn a living to be provided survival needs, many are going to want very much to be productive anyway. But not at those tasks that they did not choose to do, but were forced to accept in order to earn money. Instead, humans will spontaneously take upon themselves those tasks that world society really needs to have done. That is the essence of this full moon in Leo. Unfortunately, we're still locked into that society that says you have to do this to make money. But we also have to make time for the beautiful things that society really needs. We need the arts and humanities. We need thinking outside the box. That's what we need. We need your creativity. We need your heart. We need the things that you are passionate and interested in. So let me just go ahead and move past this full moon a little bit, because actually there is one more piece of it that I want to talk about. This full moon is pretty close to trine to Chiron, which is healing in Aries. And Chiron in Aries is about healing our authenticity, our identity, really feeling the right to be here as we are. And that is a piece of this as well. So we move forward a few days. And let's see here. What's the next? I do want to talk about the fact that Venus moves into Aquarius on Monday. So yeah, so Saturday, Mercury goes retrograde at 26 degrees. And Monday, Venus moves into Aquarius. And then we have lots of energy in Aquarius. I should say Saturday, the Sun square Mars. It could come out either way. It could be motivation. It could be feeling lazy, like you're overwhelmed. Mars is, action, but it's in Taurus, so it's kind of slow and steady. And the Sun's in Aquarius, like, hey, we got to do this stuff. And Mars is like, don't forget to slow down, So that's worth noting, at least. Luckily, after that, the Sun starts to move away from Jupiter and Saturn. And the Sun doesn't really like being in Aquarius. You know why? Because it's at home in Leo. The Sun likes to be in Leo. And it's in Aquarius right now. And it's like, it's not really, it's detached. It's not really shining that creative light like it wants to. So the fact that it's trucking on along in Aquarius is kind of nice and moving away from Jupiter and Saturn. And the sun squares Mars for a few days. So those can be pretty intense. I will say that. But pay attention to the things that come up. And if you're challenged in your values, I would definitely say that. So I do want to point out that on Friday, February 5th, Venus meets Saturn, and Saturn is a wall. The cool thing about this year is that we meet Saturn before Jupiter, which is actually kind of nice because it's like hitting the wall, but then being freed from that wall. Yeah, last year we hit Jupiter first, so we were like, yeah, and then we hit Saturn, which was the wall. But they've switched places now. So Venus hitting Saturn may feel not super fun on February the 5th. It's like being really aware of the rules and limitations that you have. An alternative way of looking at it, though, is being able to be successful with what we want, with what we love, the resolve to move forward. And then it passes Saturn and it will start to meet Jupiter. Now we get into, I'm just looking at all of the different things going on here. On February 8th, this seems to be a little bit of a turning point. I will say the Mercury retrograde from January 30th through February 8th is pretty squirrely, like really having to rethink some stuff and process, really maybe seeing the fact that we've spent too much time paying attention to these detached issues, our goals, worrying about the future, looking at politics, all of this. And then February 8th comes around and let's see, Mars starts to make some connections with Mercury. It's at 16, 17 degrees. Mercury's at 19. The moon trines Mars and it becomes a little more grounded. So that's nice. The sun's moved pretty far away into Aquarius and we're getting toward the late degrees, and that's just kind of nice. I'm really excited about that. Pay attention to February 10th and 11th. February 10th, the moon moves into Aquarius. It hits all of the Aquarius planets: Saturn, Venus, Jupiter, Mercury, the sun, eventually. But on February 10th is the first initial transit into Aquarius. On that day, Mars is exactly square Mercury. I think I said square last time when I was talking about it, which kind of just like pulls that back down to Earth. I'm undecided on what these few days is going to be like. It's very hard to predict. I mean, Aquarius by nature rules unexpected events. So my best advice to you is just to pay attention to what comes up. We're helped by the fact that both benefics, that's what you call Venus and Jupiter, meaning they have benefit, are in Aquarius. So that's good. It's like there's some good luck here, but also some things to figure out. And by the time the moon passes all of that, on February 11th, we have the new moon in Aquarius, and that's going to be extremely important. It's an extremely important new moon. I will do another video for that new moon, but it's extremely important. Let me say this again, February 11th is extremely important. That's when you're going to really want to set intentions. So for this full moon, specifically in Leo, let's let go. Let's shine the light on these inner child issues, these things maybe we've been ignoring even. Let go of anything that would put that light out. Let's let go of it through creativity. Let go of the old world. Let go of the old rules. Let go of the old truths that don't serve us. Let go of the old friends. Remember who you are for this full moon, because by the time we get to February 11th, we are setting new intentions on how we're going to go about this new world. So it's important to remember who you are first in it. Remember your place in it. What beauty are you spreading? What creativity are you putting out? What love, what compassion? I do want to read something called the Sabian symbol for the full moon degree. And the Sabian symbols are just word pictures for every degree of the zodiac. And this happens to be Leo 10th Sabian symbol. And it is early morning dew sparkles as the sunlight floods the field. If that doesn't paint a picture, I don't know what will. It is the exalted feeling that arises within the soul of an individual who successfully passed through the long night, which has tested his strength and his faith. The cold air of night having precipitated upon the field of man's consciousness the moisture of his deepest feelings, this widely spread dew is blessed with the light of significance by the rising sun of the new day. Even tears can be transformed into jewels in the light of victory over night and over sorrow. We see the potential culmination of the process which began on a note of social and cultural crisis. The would-be reformer has to meet many emotional problems as he begins his work of creation. And this is why works of creation are such a beautiful way to move through who you are, to meet yourself. Creation means transformation. So the reformer is actually a transformer if he is truly a creative and inspired individual open to the spirit that makes everything new. The building of a new society and one's renewed personality as well is just as much a process of artistic creation as the making of a delicate glass vase or a symphony. So I think that's going to do it. Let me just say very quickly through the rising signs, because I think that's helpful, that this full moon is going to be in for everybody. You can also look at it through your sun sign as well. But the rising signs really tell what area of your life this is happening in. So if you don't know your rising sign, you can easily figure it out by going to astro.com and getting your chart. All right, so let's start with Aries rising. This is going to be in your 5th house. Full moon in Leo in your 5th house is really about shining light on your creativity, on your inner child, because the 5th house actually rules creativity and inner child. So this is like double Leo for Aries risings. This is really saying, all right, what do you enjoy? What do you want to be in this world? Who are you? Don't forget your heart. Aries risings, Aries suns. Taurus rising, Taurus sun. This full moon is going to be in your 4th house, which is home and family. And so you may have things come up in your home or in your family where you've been too detached from it, or maybe someone hasn't given you what you need, the emotional security or support that you need. And it's time to remember what that inner child needs in terms of home, family. Maybe your home has been in disrepair and you're like, I need to paint these walls. Whatever it is, that creative expression is coming out through your home, through your family, and the way you interact. Gemini rising or Gemini sun, this full moon is in your 3rd house, which is how you think and how you communicate. So if you haven't been communicating your heart's desires or what you really need from people, that's what this full moon is about. It's about really speaking it, being vocal. Also creatively expressing yourself through communication. That's what this full moon is for you. So I would just pay attention to how you're speaking. Make sure you're not speaking down to yourself, things like that. And make sure that you are standing up for your inner child, through what you speak. Cancer rising, Cancer sun. This full moon is in your second house of resources and finances. And do you have the resources you need to enjoy your life? Do you use those resources to enjoy your life, to nurture your creativity? How can you spread more love and compassion with your resources? Do you value being creative? Also, your self-worth is inextricably linked to your creative spark and to your inner child. So make sure you're nurturing that, because it really will help you in terms of self-worth and resources. Leo rising, Leo suns. This is all about your identity. I could see perhaps a need to make yourself seen with this full moon, to say, this is me authentically, this is who I am. And that is actually going to be a creative act for you. You know, I could also see maybe even doing something to your appearance. That's what the first house is. It's your identity, your conscious identity. So incorporating creativity into it. Maybe it's time to try on some new kicks or something, or like dress differently or something like that. You could also just present yourself differently to people, maybe even in career, Leo rising. So this is just about how you're showing up. Virgo rising, Virgo sun. This is a spiritual moment for you. It is truly about surrendering, I think, this full moon to your needs inside, to your inner child, and letting that be a spiritual process too. So this may even be more of a subconscious thing for Virgo risings, Virgo suns, because it is happening in a place in your chart that is spiritual in nature, metaphysical in nature. But you could also look at it as, where am I not honoring my spiritual nature? How can I bring that in creatively? All right. Libra rising, Libra sun. This is in your 11th house of your tribe, your groups. So I would say definitely making sure people see you in groups. So yeah, being more seen, being more authentic in the groups that you're surrounded by, and in your goals, and really making sure your goals and the people that are in your life support the things your inner child needs, support your creativity, your creative place in this world. Scorpio risings and Scorpio suns, this full moon is in your 10th house of career. So this is about your public reputation and what you are doing out in the world. So this is like, hey, I forgot, I got really wrapped up in my emotions, but I'm here to lead. I'm here to be out and to say, this is the way we're doing things. That is your creative work, Scorpio rising, is to lead the charge. So really bringing creativity into things like career, really being seen in your career and saying, this is me. This is what I need. This is what I want. All right. Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius sun, it's in your 9th house of truth and belief. So you can really, I would say, maybe have been challenged mentally by the last few years. And now you know you need to reorganize your story in order to be more in alignment with what joy is for you, is what creativity is for you. Traveling, multicultural affairs, even spirituality and belief is all a part of this full moon for you. So it could be the realization that you really need to get out. You really need a new adventure. That's really something that I could see for Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius suns. You do have fun through adventure, through expanding your mind, through philosophy. And if you haven't been nurturing that, maybe have been just taking in information and really being kind of cerebral, it's time to kind of expand that and go, I need to open my mind and look at reality a little differently during this full moon. All right, Capricorn rising, Capricorn sun. This is in your 8th house of shared resources. Are you sharing your resources in a way that is in alignment with your heart? Are you perhaps giving too much to others? Are you taking enough? Are you in any contracts that are not in alignment with who you are anymore? I would say, I think that's the best way to describe this full moon for you, Capricorn rising, Capricorn sun, is boundaries, power, making sure you haven't let anyone else have power over that creative spark, making sure that you are not disempowered in your joy and creativity. I think that could be some things coming up for you. Aquarius rising and Aquarius sun, this is about relationships for you. This could be a feel-good time, full moon in Leo in your 7th house with relationships. It could be a time that highlights any imbalances. But bringing a sense of playfulness to your relationships, that can include business partnerships, friendships. A lot of times the 7th house is romantic. So I would say a sense of romantic creativity being brought into this, making sure your friendships are playful, are in alignment with who you are and your inner child and what they need. All right, Pisces risings and Pisces suns. This is in your 6th house of health and work, everyday work, routine. So I could see this being a need for you to be playful with your everyday life, to have what you need to play every day, like maybe keeping creative things out in your daily life, making it a part of your routine, making it a part of your ritual to actively feed that creative spark, that inner child, that playfulness, that joy. All right, that's all of the signs. So I will put this up on YouTube in a little bit, and that should make it easy to fast forward through your rising signs. I kept those kind of simple and straightforward, so I didn't get too lengthy because I've already been kind of lengthy on this. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much. Oh yeah, tomorrow's the last day for my sale on readings. You can book up through tomorrow for any time in the future. So even if you book for March or July, that's fine. It's just you have to book through tomorrow. I'm going to take that off of my thing because I have to end it sometime. Although I'll probably do another sale very soon because that's just who I am. I'm like, oh, it's sale time. So keep your eyes open. But it is through tomorrow at midnight, and they're pretty deeply discounted prices. So thank you so much for your support. Even just watching this video and sharing this video is super helpful for me, especially since my Facebook got deleted. Follow me on Twitter. I'm at Ecstatic Astro, I believe, or Ecstatic Astrology, and on Instagram. And I try to do things on TikTok if I can. Anyway, I really appreciate you guys. All my love. Get in that playful, creative spirit, and have a very, very good day. How do I end this? Here's my old lady time where I figure out how to end this. Okay. Bye, you guys.